Okay. I know I'm getting older now because I've realized that a lot of people that I knew when I was young have passed away because of basic math. Do you know what I mean? Like, there'll just be someone that you're thinking about where you're like, oh man, they were old when I was a kid and I pay bills now, so. Oh yeah, oof. I went to a Catholic school in high school, and there was a priest there that I thought was hilarious. I don't even remember his name. I feel bad about it, but you know, he was dope, and he would do mass because we would have mass before classes and stuff, and he would always forget to turn his mic off. Consistently. I don't even think he knew it had an off button. He would always forget to turn his mic off, and then he would take the sacrament, right, which is a cracker. And then every time he did it with next to his mic, it sounded like he was losing a tooth every week. It was never not hilarious. I remember the first time it happened, I was like, did he crack his soul? Like, what? And you know, I'm not Catholic, but I would sometimes, when we would have a retreat or something, I would go to the confession just to like do it. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a certain power in going to confession when you're not Catholic, because you're gonna tell someone a bunch of stuff they can't tell anybody else. And then they're gonna tell you what to do about it, and you're just gonna not. Like, so I went to confession, and it wasn't as much of a confession because I think he knew I wasn't Catholic, so it was more of a conversation, right? And in the conversation, he said something that stuck with me ever since, where he was like, I don't know. This is him. I don't know if there's a God. But I've read the Bible, and I feel like, God or not, that this is the best way to live my life. I feel like I'm happier, I'm kinder to people. I feel better with this thing than without it. So that's just me, right? And I never heard someone, especially someone like in a church, like of the church, speak so candidly about their beliefs, right? I'd ask people my entire life straight up, hard questions. And sometimes they'd be like, well, you know, God has a plan. But when somebody hits you with, I don't know either, it really stops both of you. I remember the moment he said it, I was like, oh, I hope I didn't break. I hope I didn't break a priest. You gotta go to hell if you break a priest. But he was like, no, I don't know. But I think that even if nothing happens when you die, even if there's no God, by the time I'm gone, I'll be pretty happy about the way that I lived my life. And I thought about that the other day. And I was like, ooh, I was 14. And he was like 84, so... I definitely missed a funeral. Okay, I don't drive because I'm a terrible driver. Like, I failed my driving test, and I'm out of practice since then. And so I don't drive, but I get driven. I take Ubers and stuff like that. Friends have given me rides and stuff. So I understand the value of gas money. And, you know, it always felt like some classic 90s late night joke to talk about gas prices and if they were high or they're getting so high or whatever. And at least right now, gas, at least in most states, is on the lower side. It's cheaper. It's trending down, actually. It's cheaper than it was last week at the time that I'm saying this, right? Don't quote me years from now. Mr. Moneybags thinks that gas is cheap. It's like, no. I'm saying that as of September 4th, 2024, gas is trending down. It's cheaper than it was last week. It's cheaper than it was a month ago. And it's down from a year ago, right? And I think that because of that, gas stations are maybe hurting a little bit, and they're starting to sell extra stuff that is a bad business model, right? Like extra stuff that shouldn't even be at the gas station. Like I saw gas station flowers. Fellas, if you ever mess up and you're thinking about what you did and you're on your way home and you're feeling apologetic, but you don't want you messed up too bad to just text. You can't just be like, I'm sorry, LOL. It's not gonna work. You're like, I gotta make this right? And so you're getting your apology ready in your head, and then, you see that the tank's pretty close to E. You're like, let me be responsible, fill up the family car, right? And then you get to the gas station, you fill up the car, and then you see inside that there are flowers, real flowers, at the gas station. If you walk in and you buy those flowers and you bring them home, she will leave you, all right? Gas station flowers look like an omen. Like, they're just dead enough to be alive. I've never seen anything like it. Like, and for sale of regular price flowers too. There was a bouquet that was in a bucket with a bunch of other bouquets, and I looked and the sign said $9.99 for these very dead. There's no vegetation around. These flowers were clearly shipped in like the back of a fridge or something. Flowers are big. Salads. I'm all for people eating their greens. And I think we should be healthier as a country. But if you buy a gas station salad, you have just used your credit or debit card to pay for E. coli, right? E. coli is supposed to be microscopic, but you can see it on a gas station salad. You can see it tap dancing in there. You can see it waiting to get inside you, excited. Eat me, please. I was at a gas station in Kentucky and saw, for sale apparently, a loose pickle. When I say a loose pickle, I want you to understand I said it right. I was at the gas station. My friend was getting gas. I was going to buy a bottle of water. And as I'm walking towards the fridge with the waters in it, I pass a shelf. The shelf has pickles laid out on the shelf and a price tag right under it. $1.99 for these loose pickles. $1.99 for these loose pickles. They're just on a very dusty shelf. And they were wet. Like, they had pickle juice on them. And it was a mystery I needed to solve. Because in my head, I was like, what could have happened here? Because this was like a mom and pop gas station. It wasn't like a Circle K or, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like anything like that. It wasn't a Shell or anything. It was just like a regular, independent gas station. There's very few now, and I guess I can see why. But this loose pickle is just on the shelf with some other loose pickles, like, but it's wet. And in my head, I was like, this is like either a miracle or the worst business idea I've ever seen in my entire life. Can you imagine someone pitching, look, pickles taste like pickle, all right? Just throw them out there. Don't put them in a jar. Don't let them soak in pickle juice. They're gonna taste like pickle no matter what you do, all right? Sure, there's a little dust. That dust is character, okay? But truly what I think happened, because this is like an indie, mom and pop gas station, I think somebody went in there. And don't get me wrong, a person who's out of their mind, they went in there and they were like, hey, let me get the whole jar of pickles, but no pickles. I just want the juice and the jar. And then this mom and pop gas station owner said, rightfully so, excuse me? Sir, I want the jar and the juice, hold the pickles, and I'll pay whatever price you want. And so then this very old man was like, okay. Because what do you charge for that? If somebody says, name your price, I would charge like $300. $300 would make me feel comfortable about making a sale to a serial killer, right? I wouldn't even say $300, maybe $500. I think $500 would make me more comfortable about what I had to do while somebody watched. You know what I mean? No, $5,000. $5,000 would be my price, because I would want them to have to pay so much that they couldn't get far, and when I called the police, they wouldn't be... They'd just be one tank of gas away. Loose pickles. And I asked them, I was like, so your pickles over there, what's the deal with that? Because they're just loose on the shelf. And the guy goes, what? I was like, your pickles are loose on the shelf. Because now I'm getting nervous. So your pickles are loose on the shelf. And he's like, what? And he's like cursing under his breath. And then he goes over there to the aisle where I pointed. And he's like, not again! Again. And he's like, not again. I was like, wait, so this happened before? Like, you didn't want this to happen? Like, a weird stranger didn't come in here and pay you $5,000 for just the jar and the juice? And this dude explained to me while I bought my bottle of water that a resident weirdo comes in every couple of months and slyly takes all the pickles out of the jar and runs out with the jar and the juice. And he said, this dude said, I have alerted the authorities multiple times. But they say there's nothing that they can do because he's stealing, but it's not like a priced amount. And I was like, may I offer a suggestion? Pickles, $1.99 each. Jar, $5,000.
When I was growing up, I had a friend who was like a latchkey kid, and he would get off the bus, and he had 2 hours to himself before his parents came home. So he'd get off the bus, he'd open the door in the house, he had full reign of the house. And we're still little, but he's like old enough to, go ahead and make himself a grilled cheese if he wants something, anything, just till his parents get home. And one day he comes home and his parents had a get together the night before, and he sees laid out just a little bit left of some wine. And he's like, oh wow, I know that this is grown-up juice, but I want to try it because I'm not supposed to have it, because I know I'm not supposed to have it, right? And so picks it up, and he's weighing the options in his head. He's like, I could try it, but what if I get caught? I'd be in so much trouble. Oh, but I really want it. Maybe nobody will know. And he's going over and over it in his head to the point where he decides, I'm going to just have a little sip. And he's bringing it to his lips, and then he ends up slipping it out of his hand, drops it, stains the carpet, right? So now he's freaking out because it's like, oh no, they'll know there wasn't a stain there when they left. This is all on me. And he did what a lot of kids would do in that scenario. He made it worse. He was like, the only thing, and I can understand he's a kid, but this is a mistake that I don't think I would have made. The best thing for him to do in that moment, he thought, was to make a bigger mess. And then that way, the stain won't be so bad. So he grabbed a rock and he threw it through the window. Which was a huge mistake because he went outside to get the rock and then threw it from inside outside. He realized what he had done as soon as he did it, so then he had to go back outside, grab the rock, carefully pick up all the glass, bring it back inside, lay out the glass next to the rock, next to the stain. And then his parents get home, and when they come home, immediately they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? What happened? And he's had an hour 20 to think up a story, So he's over here like, it was crazy. They're like, what happened? You got the rock going through the windows, all this glass on the floor and the stain. He's like, well, the stain's probably not as big of a deal as the broken window when you really think about it, right? And they're like, what happened? And he says, well, the rock came through the window and it must have hit the glass that had the wine in it, the wine that really shouldn't have been left out. That's an adult beverage. I'm a minor. And then it must have hit the perfect angle to hit that glass and this glass and then knock over and then make a stain on our beautiful 3-bedroom carpet. Yeah. And his parents were like, but did you see it happen? Like, how did this happen? Did somebody throw this? And he's like, uh-oh, because he didn't think that far. And so he was like, yeah, the man threw it. And they were like, what man? And now he's in deep because he's like, yeah, what man? What am I doing? And so he's like, yeah, there was a man that, threw the rock through the window and everything. And you saw him? Yeah, I saw him. He threw it and he ran and everything. And he thought maybe that would be the end of it. But from his parents' perspective, there was someone who threw a rock into the window, maybe to get inside while their son was home. So they had more and more questions, and he didn't know what to do. He was freaking out, Next thing he knows, the police have been called, and the police come over, and they're like, what did the man look like? And they over here taking notes and stuff, and he's like, he doesn't know what to say next because he didn't think this far. And that's how I feel like Trump must feel about Epstein, because it goes so deep. It's like he didn't think this far in the lies. Like he just didn't account for it. He thought he could make it quiet, It's not going to be pitched as a direct and absolutely direct order from Trump, what the DOJ did. But the DOJ came out after interviews saying, oh, there's so much information. We're just trying to figure out how to put it out there in a way that's clear. Oh, there's so many files. There's a list of names. There's logs. There's a client list. After saying all this stuff in the media, the DOJ comes out and says, actually, the investigation is closed. We're not going to be prosecuting anybody else. And I think we got to the bottom of it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's not going to stand at all. That's not going to stand with anybody, because you got to remember who Trump garnered with this belief that he released the Epstein files. He's got MAGA, sure, but he also has Q. Nobody talks about Q anymore, but they're still around. And they believe deeply that Donald Trump is going to be the one to unleash all of the truth. All the evidence will come out. When Trump is president, he'll turn over everything on the powerful cabal that has been victimizing people across the world. And then he's like, hey, yeah, there's no... And I think he thought that he could really bury it, that he could truly bury it. But he's wrong. He's wrong because there are a lot of things that he didn't account for. There are people that Trump controls. There are people who he orders around, and there are people who blindly follow him, sure. But he didn't count on things like Jeffrey Epstein talking before he died to a biographer for like 100 hours. Like just a ridiculous amount of time. I have friends I don't think I've spoken to for 100 hours. 100 hours, you probably say a lot of nothing, and you probably say some pretty interesting stuff. Those 100 hours of conversation is how we know that Trump and Epstein were tight for years. Well, even Epstein said he knows some of the inner workings of the White House because him and Trump would just chop it up. You know what I mean? That's heavy. That's a lot to try to sidestep. And Trump's been making mistakes this whole time. Even when Epstein died, right? Epstein dies. He was in jail and he passed. Who can say how? And, Ghislaine Maxwell gets, charged, has a whole trial, gets convicted, sentenced to 20 years in prison. And apparently what we're hearing now is that at the time, Trump floated pardoning her. And the people that heard that almost couldn't believe it. Why would he pardon her. That's crazy. And it's like, actually, it's not that crazy when you see the picture of all of them hanging out, like, in the 90s, and they met in the 80s, and they used to fly around together. Like, that's his buddy. You know? And he even said himself, these are his words out of his mouth, when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell during the trial, he said, oh, I wish her well. Somebody that's on trial for trafficking. Somebody with ties to you. I wish her well. And then people were like, why would you wish her well? And then they brought it up again, and Trump was like, I wish lots of people well. And we were like, no, you don't. I've been watching you the whole time. I don't think you wish anybody well that I've seen. All you come up with is nicknames. Man floated pardoning her. That's crazy. And then the DOJ comes out, hey, yeah, this is done. Nothing else to see here. And people were having a hard time wrapping their heads around that. People who usually stump for Trump hard. No matter what he says, they manage to twist it in a way that maybe could make sense to you, and they'll say that that's what he means. One of the reasons that Trump can do everything that he does and it comes off a different way to everybody is because so many people think that they're the Trump whisperer. Trump will say something out of nowhere, and then there'll be people like, well, what he actually meant was something more reasonable that I'm going to say right now. And I'll be like, that's interesting, because he didn't say any of those words in that order when he was speaking. And I think he had a teleprompter, so I don't see how that's possible. And so everybody thinks that they can be the Trump whisperer, and it's just not working this time. You see people trying to come up with why Trump, why the FBI, why the Attorney General would all of a sudden, what feels like out of nowhere, try to shut this whole thing down, right? Alex Jones, of all people, saw what the DOJ did, and he made a video crying. I think it's very important. When, when a man shows emotion, not to just ridicule him for it because it's easy. But Alex Jones cries weird. Alex Jones cried weirder than anybody I've ever seen in my life. I don't wish anything good for Alex Jones, but to see him cry felt like something happened to me too. Like, it's... Alex Jones is up here like, folks. Like his eyelids were doing sit-ups, crying. I'm sick to my stomach, and I just can't believe this thing is happening. Wipe your face, dog. Like, and even Alex Jones trying to come up with something. He's like maybe the deep state got to him, and the deep state is like in his body, and that's why he's doing this stuff right now. And then he'll be back to normal after he has one of my protein shakes. You can go to my website and buy frog protein for $19.99. No, it was crazy. Because Alex Jones, you gotta remember, this dude is a proper conspiracy theorist. Old school. There's something deeper behind everything. Everything at all times. And I'm not talking about like chemtrails. I'm not talking about like government operations. There's something deeper behind everything that happens all the time. Hillary Clinton went on The Tonight Show. Pretty sure this was on The Tonight Show, and she was trying to open a jar of pickles, right? I don't remember what the bit was, but that's what was happening. And Alex Jones pulled it up, and right after she opened the jar, he was like, you see? Do you see what happened right there? Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. Now, in the video, she has opened the jar. Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. That jar was pre-opened. All right? You can tell because there was no pop. There's supposed to be a pop. There's supposed to be a... There was no, I brought the same jar. I'm gonna open for him right now. And this man spends a while trying to open the jar. He spends an uncomfortable amount of time trying to open the jar. I think at one point he even had a rag too. You know, like those kitchen tricks you use? He over here, you know, sometimes you like tap the top of it, you like. And he's like, I can't even open it right now, folks. That's how you know this thing right here, she didn't open that jar. So imagine Alex Jones on Epstein. No. I just think about the way that MAGA has been reacting. Because it is a full-on revolt. Truly. It's a thing that they cannot fathom is happening. Whether it's Q, whether it's MAGA, or whether it's just people who have been following the Epstein case from the beginning. Because you got to remember what Epstein stands for. He is the ultimate boogeyman. He is the ultimate beacon for people that believe that all the elites are in on something together. And it's easy to make him that because he had an island, billionaires were flying around, people went to him for tax advice and for law advice. He was this financier, even though I don't think he had a law degree and he wasn't a CPA. So it's like, what are you doing with people's taxes that you helping? And so this dude, he represents a lot. He stands for a lot in conspiracy theory world and in just the regular world. This is someone who has ties to billionaires, to royalty, who come to him for horrific acts. And now you're telling us, there's nothing else to see here. There's nothing else to see between, me and him especially. There's nothing. Don't look. Stop. 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 And so then Trump, for his part, is watching this whole thing go down, and he's watching people argue about it in front of him, people who are, in his administration and on his side, argue about the best way to handle it, going back and forth. Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, all names that sound like they're about to be called down on The Price is Right. Like, all three of them are constantly going at it because then, Bongino is upset with Pam because he thinks that Pam overpromised and underdelivered and everything. Why would you even say that this stuff was coming unless you had a plan? You were just talking in front of the camera. And then Pam is going back at him, and Trump's watching this whole thing. And then in a press conference, they even asked him, they actually asked Pam Bondi a question about the tapes and the DOJ's memo and everything. And Pam Bondi was ready to answer. She was about to speak, and Trump interrupted her. He was like, hey, look, are we still talking about this guy? No, what? Why? Years? Why? Everybody's talking about this dude. What's the point? You know what I mean? It's just, I'm sick of this for you, Pam. You don't even feel like answering, do you? And Pam didn't catch. She wasn't quick enough. She was like, no, I don't mind answering. And I know Trump had to be sick when that happened. It's like, no, go ahead and answer then. And, Pam Bondi talked about how they had released a lot of stuff, because there's a difference between releasing evidence around a case or releasing vital information or declassifying things and then releasing stuff, right? So they released a bunch of stuff to look like they were releasing something. They released the videotape of the night that Epstein got up out of here. And the problem with the tape is that it's always been talked about as if there was a tape of his cell that would prove definitively that nothing untoward happened, right? But the tape isn't of Jeffrey Epstein's cell with him sitting there and everything. It's like a hallway. And you're giving a tape to conspiracy theorists. They're gonna do some extra looking. There's like 10 hours of tape. But there is 61 seconds missing. I don't know how long it takes to kill somebody. But if there's 61 seconds missing, I'm assuming that it takes 50 seconds and gives you 11 seconds to get down the hall. And I'm not even saying that's what happened, by the way. I'm just saying 61 seconds, that's weird. And they asked Pam Bondi about it, and Pam Bondi is like, look, it's a very old system from the 90s where the tape resets at midnight, so it takes a second to like reset, and that's why 61 seconds are missing. And I had a lot of questions. I had a ton of questions. One, my first question, didn't even concern Epstein. My first question was, why are you telling everybody that? Because that is very valuable information if you're a prisoner in that. Because you know what they play in prison, the news. You probably sit there in Gen Pop like, wait, it what? Every day? I gotta go take care of something. So she says, look, this is the way that system works. So we're actually gonna be supplying more video footage to show that there's a minute missing every night. And I was like, why would you say that? The people in prison can hear you. But also, that's a pretty bad system. It was supposed to be watching somebody, and it takes a minute to blink. That's pretty wild. That it's just gonna be missing every day, and you're telling us that like it's not an issue at all. Felt crazy to me. And then they release the video, and then people go digging, they go looking, and one of the things they find is that the video has been doctored. Somebody at some point ran the video through Adobe Premiere and did something. And I'm not saying, look. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Adobe Premiere, all right? All I'm saying is I would have thought the government, with all their resources, you know what I mean? Like the government would have like a special program. That just feel pretty cheap to make an Adobe Cloud account that you run this Epstein tape through. Like nobody's gonna know, so then people are wondering about the missing minute. They're wondering about how this video has been tampered with. And then even people who watch the full 10 hours of the video, because you gotta remember, some of these people are dedicated. They're like, there's actually a guard that leaves one way and never comes back, which proves that there's two ways to enter that hallway. And I was like, oh man, he's so screwed. Trump, he's very good at creating a distraction, and he tries. He did his best. He said that he was gonna revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. On any other day in American history, that would be a headline. Any other day, that'd be wild. And look, Rosie O'Donnell and Donald Trump have what I think is now like a 20-year feud going on, which is absolutely insane. The President of the United States has the ultimate and deepest beef. His arch nemesis is the actress from Harriet the Spy. That is mind-boggling. The leader of the free world is ready to have it out at any given moment
with the voice actress from the main gorilla in the Disney movie Tarzan. The man with his fingers on the button for the nukes has a deep hatred in his heart, decades long, for Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award winner Rosie O'Donnell. This is an unacceptable timeline. That is crazy. I don't even know what Rosie O'Donnell did that day. Like, I don't know what even brought it up. But he says, you know, I'm thinking about revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. If Ireland wants to keep her, they could have her. And any other day, this would be the story. He knows that. Who knows? Look, I'm of two minds about this thing because it is clearly a distraction, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I'm of two minds about this thing because, one, obviously, there's a world where he's just like saying stuff to say stuff to like swiftly like move the news cycle in another direction, and he may not do anything. But the fact, as a sitting president, that he would even muster up the corner of his thumbs to put that into a phone to go out to the world is so deeply insane. Because this thing that he's doing now is not just a step too far, it's the entire field too far. Rosie O'Donnell is an American citizen, a citizen. And so if he can do that, then truly, 100% without a doubt now, nobody is safe. What started this whole like immigration, fear-mongering, you gotta remember, because you have to understand, as a platform, people have been running on it as long as there have been, you know, green cards and immigration programs. Oh, is it a little too much? Oh, we don't like what it's doing to the landscape of our neighborhood and everything. And people have won votes on it. That's nothing new. But what's turned is the way that people are openly nasty and disgusting about it. There's always been racism in it. It's mainly what it is, you know? Because if you really cared about people coming over the right way, the legal way, then you would make the right way and the legal way clear, and you wouldn't kidnap people at their green card interviews, and you wouldn't have like mass people picking people up after baseball practice, okay? If that's what you cared about. And you also, you know, you've structured this thing to make these people seem like monsters. That's been the plan this entire time, because if somebody is a monster, it is part of the human condition and a flaw that we have. As long as we see somebody as a monster, whether they are or not, we don't really care what happens to them. You know? It's why they can make conditions in prison so bad. Because the assumption is, well, everybody that's there deserves to be there, so screw them, right? If they don't have clean water, or if they can't shower, or if their food's contaminated, good. Because they did something bad to earn that place, right? And it helps you strip the basic humanity of looking at another person, whether they've made a mistake or not, or looking at another person, whether from a different country or not. And if you get really good at stripping that humanity away, you can do whatever you want, and then you start to be able to do whatever you want to anybody that you want. And that's what's been creeping up this entire time. What started as like, guys, they're eating the dogs. Remember, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Nobody's pets are safe. It was getting so dumb. It was past like, these are criminals and they're killing us and they're coming over here to do terrible things. And then it started to morph a little bit more. Okay, look, I know that they're going through the proper channels and everything, but they have a misdemeanor in another country. Do we really want somebody like that to become a citizen? Maybe we should deport them now. No, I understand that they have their green card, but they also, I don't know, they have this weird past I don't like, or they wrote an op-ed I didn't like, or they said a thing that I didn't like. So do we really want someone like that in our country? I know that they are a fully naturalized citizen, but the way that they became a citizen is a little bit under suspect, because I said so just now. So maybe we'll deport them. And now we're all the way to the point that American citizens that I do not like can be gone. And so you see, when you let somebody's humanity get stripped away over and over and over again, and it's in the back of your head, and you even go with the lie. They probably did something, or maybe they shouldn't have done that thing, or maybe they have a good reason. When you do that enough and it finally comes for you, don't be surprised. Because the thing with the Rosie O'Donnell, it's like there's a part of it that I think is nothing. I'm not saying that thing is absolutely going to happen. I'm just also saying that the fact that he even fixed his fingers to put it out is a problem. And normally, on any other day, it would have been such a problem that it's what everyone on the news would have been talking about. But this was a different day. This was a day where Dan Bongino is so upset he doesn't even report into work. He's tired of arguing with Pam Bondi. He might resign. Other people are talking about resigning. This Epstein thing isn't going away. And so then Donald Trump did what he does best, what he does in a crisis, and what he does when it counts. He made it worse. Like a kid throwing a rock through his own window. He makes it so much worse. And now Trump is dealing with that fallout. There are people calling for Pam Bondi to resign. There are people that are asking Trump extra questions. And then Trump crashes out spectacularly while y'all were probably parking. And so I'm gonna do this real quick. I don't like to use my phone or bring my phone out often, but I have to read you what Trump posted. And admittedly, look, I'm going to read every word that he posted, all right? But I will be doing it the way that I read it in my head. This is insane. What's going on, my boys? Boys in quotations. Oh, no. What's going on with my boys? Boys in quotations. And in some cases, gals? Also in quotations. Are you asking us a question about what's going on with them, or are you confused about the gals specifically? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job, all caps. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect, all caps, administration, the talk of the world, all caps, and selfish people, in quotes, are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies. What? I'm not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm not saying that at all. I'm like specifically not saying that. I need you to understand that I am explicitly not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm just saying that if I was like driving in my car and I hit somebody and I somehow got away with it, but I saw them every time I closed my eyes, I'd be like, this guy never dies. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. This is a man who hasn't slept. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama? You know what's so good about files written by Obama is that Trump was sitting there knowing he know Epstein. Trump knows Epstein so well. They were friends. Trump lived so close to Epstein in Florida that Epstein had to knock on his door and let him know he was on the sex offender registry. Like, that's how close they lived together. He knocked on the door, was like, hi, the court has ordered me to notify you that I'm in the area. I have been convicted of a few crimes, and I left my suit jacket over here last night, so that's crazy. By Obama, and it's a list. It's why are we giving publicity to files? You know what it also is?
This man was sitting here knowing that he knows Epstein. He's sitting here knowing that this looks very bad. And he did the DOJ thing, even though it's not directly tied to him, even though the president isn't allowed to interfere. He clearly did the DOJ thing where he told them to shut it down. And now people are rebelling against him. And he's sitting there like, how can I make it DEI? Obama. Thanks, Obama. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? So I guess they were all in a room in this scenario, and they wrote the files together in tandem. Like Obama just knew that everyone in the Biden administration would be in the Biden administration one day, so he gathered them all together. But this is also before Epstein ever died or anything. So Obama time traveled to like right after to know it would hurt Trump. So then he came back in regular time and he sat down Hillary Clinton, Comey, Brennan, and the loser, he had to get all the losers and criminals of the Biden administration in one room so they could write. Also, wrote the files? Isn't it a bunch of documents? And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration, I do like that he said there are criminals in the Biden administration, but there are some people who aren't criminals. They're just losers. But I want to make sure I address them too. You're not safe. You're not safe just because you're not a criminal if you're a loser as well, all right? In fact, you're a loser because you're not a criminal, all right? I have 34 felony convictions, and I'm the president, okay? You out here not even a criminal. You can't even criminal good. Loser. And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia, Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, intelligence is in quotes, the laptop from hell. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I really don't know what that is. I don't know if that's like Hunter Biden's laptop or a laptop with Hillary's emails on it, or if he just had a bad experience with an HP laptop. But like, that is also in all caps. The laptop from hell and more, question mark. They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake, all caps, Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends, this man hurt because my so-called friends, as a world leader, my so-called friends is the most Regina George Mean Girls line I've ever heard in my entire life. My so-called friends is wild. Foreign diplomats, world leaders had a dinner that Trump was at, and they made fun. This is his first term. They made fun of him at the dinner. He could probably hear him in the background. They were laughing. It was like Boris Johnson and Justin Trudeau and other people, and they were over here doing him. They were over here like just making fun of him hard, cracking up, talking about how he doesn't know how to spell, everything. They were getting him good. They were roasting him. And then this man comes back to the U.S. and I'm pretty sure it was Fox News that played the tape that somebody got of them making fun of him, not with a bunch of audio, and his head was down a little bit. You could tell his feelings were hurt, for real. And he was looking down and everything. And he just said, yeah, I didn't know that, like, they were, like fake like that or anything. Even in that moment, he didn't say my so-called friends. My so-called friends is insane. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? And this is good. This is clever. He's doing what he does. This is the Republican talking point that's going to go around. Look for it over and over and over again. Well, why didn't Biden release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could hurt Trump, that could derail MAGA, why didn't he release it? All right, that's the most I know you are, but what am I logic I've ever heard in my life? Because you're the president now, so you could release them. I know that Biden didn't release them, but you could release them. You could. You could release them if you wanted. You could. You could, like, I dare you. No, I was just saying, like, I dare you. I bet you won't. I bet you're too scared. I bet you won't. But you could. I know Biden did it, but you're the president now, and I thought you were a better president, so you could. You could do anything that Biden didn't do. You said that. You were like, there's a bunch of things Biden can't do that I can do, that only I can do, and one of those things is release the Epstein files. Like, I bet you won't do it, though, because you're scared. No, it's just funny, man. He's going through it. Why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or the MLK Jr. files, which is a terrible idea to bring up different conspiracy-laden things while you talk about there not being a conspiracy. That's crazy. That's a terrible move. This man is derailing. No matter how much success we have had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. This man is spiraling. It's never enough for some people is not what a president says. It's never enough for some people is not how you speak as a president. That's how you speak as a dad who just finished a 16-hour shift and somebody tells you to take out the trash. It's never enough for you people. Every day, I've been awake for 24 hours. It's my birthday. Yeah, thanks for the time. It's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And that's true. That's true. We're all going to die. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, all caps, which will continue to be our complete priority, all caps. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job, all caps. She's great, all caps. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead, all caps. Now it's the hottest, all caps, country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There's a thing I read about a long time ago. There was this leader named Father Yod, and Father Yod was the head of the Source family. The Source family was this collection of people. Some people called them a cult and everything, but they mostly kept to themselves. Like, they ran like a vegan restaurant, I think, and they just minded their own business. But one of the most interesting things about Father Yod was Father Yod told them early on, before it was ever even really a cult, before there were even a lot of members, I'm God, and don't go to a hospital. That was his thing. And that happens in a lot of cults, by the way. Don't go to the hospital because hospitals are full of experts who can provide answers that I can't. So if I can cut you off from other experts, if I can cut you off from people reasoning in a way that is just direct with logic, I've already started to bring you into the fold in a way that you'll never leave. And so Father Yod would tell them, don't go to a hospital, right? And so they didn't. Members of the Source family would not go to a hospital. And they did what I would say was generally well for a cult as far as length. A lot of cults fall apart in those first few years. You know what I mean? First year, everything sort of starts out good. Everybody's just having a good time, making friends, living in a commune and everything. And then year two, somebody try to get you drink something or do something else. Just people start coming for your mouth, you know what I mean? And all sorts of ways that get uncomfortable, and that's usually when the cult falls apart, because there are people that are like, ooh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to drink that. Ooh, that's weird. No, I'm going to go, right? And then that's when leaders sort of crumble and start having power grabs, and they get paranoid and everything. This didn't really happen, at least from what I read, to the Source family. Father Yod, and they stayed together long enough that there were members of the community that started coupling and even having children. And it got to the point where they were about to have the first baby born into the Source family, but they can't go to a hospital. They can't go to a hospital, and something like feels wrong. And no one can really describe what it is, but basically this member starts going into labor in real time. So everybody is looking over to Father, you said you were God. You told us not to go to the hospital. I think you're gonna have to deliver this baby. And so this man does it. He delivered the baby, but when the baby came out, it wasn't making any noise. And it wasn't moving at all. And people started crying. Everyone was devastated. There was so much joy around having a new person in the family. And Father Yod, he did something. I don't know what he did, but the members described it as him just clearing the airway gently a little bit, and out of nowhere, after all that silence, after no movement, the baby cried and it started moving. And if he thought he had followers then, if he thought that they were believers then, we don't need a hospital. And it got to the point where one day Father Yod was like, you know what, I'm done with this whole like earthly thing. I'm tired of healing y'all and everything. Everybody coming up to me all the time, I got a cold. Because that's what he would do. People would like have a cold, and then he'd be like, blah, 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 and then they would still have a cold, and they just get over it in 2 weeks because it was a cold, right? But then when they finally got over the cold, he'd walk by and be like, did it? And it's like, all right, well. And so, this one day, Father Yod said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a vacation. Get away from y'all for a little bit. I'll come back, but I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to take it in heaven. And so he got on a 1,300-foot cliff with a glider. Because I guess he thought he was gonna glide up enough to just like get to heaven's front door or something. Like this man is truly like lost to the sauce, right? He'd been leading the cult too long. He believed him now. I wish I had half the confidence. Because that's so crazy to think you're just gonna fly up to heaven and stay up there, but you also need a glider. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least people on ecstasy think they gonna just fly immediately, you know? This dude gets on the glider, takes off, and never did this before in his life. Wasn't trained or anything. And so he jumps off the cliff in the glider, and he goes perfectly down. He goes straight down. This man, bow, right? And so the followers like, oh, he went the wrong way. And then they come down the cliff and everything, and they come to get him. He laid out. I can't even do it. He laid out. He laid out like, but not like busted up. He's not dead. He's laid out like this. And didn't have any, to what I read at least, he didn't have any significant, any substantial like bruising or markups on his body. Another miracle, you would think. Turns out everything stayed intact, but his guts were all upside down. Like this man stayed perfectly in his body, but his lungs were in his feet. Like and so they run up on him, and he over here laid out like, I can't even do it right. Like he laid out like... When they find him, glider crash, he laid out like this. And they run up there like, Father, Father. And he's like, get me to a hospital. Get me to a hospital now. And the followers are like, what? And he's like, yeah, the one on 32 Roscoe, please. Hurry up and get me to a hospital. And there's different accounts of this. I'm sure that there's followers that say he never asked for a hospital. I'm sure there's followers that say he asked for a hospital immediately. But this dude is like, get me to a hospital. And then the followers are like, what? Why though? Like, you said never go to a hospital. You said that that's not real science in there. You said that you get sicker if you go to a hospital. We can't take you to a hospital. And he said, get me to a hospital. I'm serious. Oh, I feel something upside down. You know what it probably sounded like? I mean, I'm not there. We don't have the footage or anything. But I imagine if you fall 1,300 feet down, you probably sound like that grape lady. Remember that grape lady that was crushing the grapes? Then she fell, and then she went, arr, 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 arr. Off camera, we didn't see her. Because I'm sure when he said, get me to a hospital, they really didn't understand what he was saying at first, because he was like, get me to a... I think my spine behind my balls. Get me to a hospital. But then my man looked intact. So they're like, no, he doesn't need a hospital, he just needs rest. And then he died 9 hours later. And so when I see the way that like MAGA is turning on Trump, it just feels so much like, why would you... Wait. Why would he lie? He really doesn't understand. Trump truly doesn't understand why this thing won't go away. And it's because he doesn't understand people. You know? Whether it's, the MAGA base, whether it's Q, whether it's anybody online, anybody interested or concerned about anything to do with Epstein, all those people are people. So if you lead people on and you lie to people, they have a reaction. You can't just get something and give nothing in return. And people won't let it go, and they won't give up on it, because this man is real. He really existed. And he really destroyed a lot of lives. And for all of our faults as humans, we care about that. And so no, we're not just gonna let it go. It's not like some passing fad of a thing. I think it is to him, because he just uses what he needs while he needs it to get what he wants. And once he has it, he throws it or the person who gave it to him away. And it's something that some people are finding out right now, that he'll betray you on a dime. Nothing matters to him. Because if this thing doesn't matter to him, then nothing matters to him at all. There's no way around it. People care because vulnerable people were victimized for a very long time. And whatever part you had to do with that, it can't be covered up, because there's nothing that screams, I'm in the Epstein files, like, stop looking for the Epstein files. One thing that I thought was incredible, one thing that put a smile on my face, was when Rosie O'Donnell responded to Donald Trump talking about revoking her citizenship. And I know I don't like to pull out my phone, but I want to read you what she said. You can actually look. You can actually. This is on her Instagram, so you can actually look this up for yourself. I'm not kidding. This is crazy. So first thing she does is post a picture of Trump and Epstein together, which is which is genuinely hilarious. And Rosie O'Donnell posted in the caption, "Hey Donald, you rattled again?" 18 years later, I still live rent-free in that collapsing brain of yours. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I watch the news all the time. I watch people try to defend Trump. I watch people attack Trump, and I'm chronically online. So I watch people insult Trump all day long, and I have never come across collapsing brains. Collapsing brain would actually explain everything. It would explain the made-up words. It would explain the spelling. You call me a threat to humanity, but I'm everything you fear. A loud woman, a queer woman, a mother who tells the truth, an American who got out of the country before you set it ablaze. You built walls, I built a life for my autistic kid in a country where decency still exists. You crave loyalty. I teach my children to question power. You sell fear on golf courses. I make art about surviving trauma. You lie, you steal, you degrade. I nurture, I create, I persist. You are everything that is wrong with America, and I am everything you hate about what's still right with it. You want to revoke my citizenship. Go ahead and try King Joffrey with a tangerine spray tan. Jeez. I'm not yours to silence, I never was, and then it's the Irish flag signed Rosie. And if I'm being honest, I just never expected, I never expected the President of the United States to be so effectively eviscerated by one of the supporting actresses from A League of Their Own. It just feels wild that this is life. Philly, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you had a fantastic time. I had so much fun with you. Thank you for an incredible weekend at the Fillmore. Thank you for 8 sold-out shows. I appreciate you so much.
I am excited, genuinely excited to my core, happy for all of my white friends because it's coming. It's coming. It's almost, your New Year is almost here. Pumpkin season is about to start. And yo, I've never seen white joy. Y'all love autumn so much. It's actually the only time that white people get together and just have love and white pride, and it's wholesome. You know what I mean? Any other time you're like, oh no. But autumn, y'all get together and just, who would have known the thing that would capture the white mind would be leaves changing. I'm not gonna lie, that's y'all's hip hop. It really is. Yo, leaves changing, y'all are hey, that red, go off, cuz. You know what I mean? Y'all are out there apple picking, throwing up gang signs. I've never seen anything like it. Y'all travel. It's autumn where you are, and you'll still travel to where there's better autumn. I've never seen, it's so sweet. It's genuine, I am genuinely happy for white people when pumpkins, because everybody makes their pumpkin jokes and pumpkin latte, whatever. But let people have something. This isn't hurting anybody, and it makes white people so happy. This whole time, I thought money made white people happy. And no, it is something about Halloween that it's the sweetest. I thought I had white people figured out. And then as I got older, I was like, it's really autumn where that's where you see some of the least racism in all the country, because everybody too busy have you tried this pumpkin spice? My man, yeah, get him. This is my other thing. We don't give visionaries enough credit. We think we do, because I had a conversation with a friend. They they said this quote, and it stuck with me, where they was like, we only appreciate, visionaries by the time they close their eyes, right? Like, we only appreciate visionaries after they're dead, And I was like, nah, we appreciate some of them, but most of them we never end up appreciating. Like, we make a couple of them popular because it makes us feel smart, right? Like, it makes us feel good to be like Ferdinand Magellan, whatever. And then sometimes we give people as visionaries that weren't visionaries at all. Then the real history comes out and we're like, we gave that dude a bunch of credit. He didn't really do anything. Yeah, I mean, like Columbus. How are we still teaching this? This is crazy. We're like, no, he discovered America. He got off the boat and was talking to everybody who was already there. Letting him know he discovered it. You know what I mean? That's how I discover stuff. I just roll up in somebody's house and I'm like, man, this is nice. I'm glad nobody's here. And they're like, excuse me, what are you doing in my house? I'm like, oh, who are you? It's like, I'm the owner of this house. That's debatable. Because what would a conversation between Columbus and the natives even gone like? He gets off the boat and he's like, what are y'all doing here? And they're like, we live here. He's like, oh, hell on that. Look, what do you mean you've been here for generations and generations and you have your own ecosystem and like war and like hierarchy? I just got here, so it's been discovered. And they're like, I don't really think it works like that, dude. And he's like, well, can y'all at least like, I got my boys on the boat. Can y'all at least just go in the woods so when they get off the boat it look like nobody here? Like they honestly came so far. They'll be really bummed out if they see you. It's gonna ruin everybody's day. Can you please just go in the, and they're like, no, we're not gonna do that. He's like, I get it. I guess we'll just kill everyone. I know, the true part is the saddest part. I know. But it makes me wonder, it's like when you look at visionaries, there are people that we hold up as true beacons, right? That maybe they did some stuff, maybe they didn't, Like I think about with math. We talk about Pythagoras. You learn about him in school, and it makes us feel smart. Like, oh, Pythagoras with the triangles. And don't I know so much? And it's like, no, let's talk about real math. Who made real math? Who made math? We don't know. Who made real math? Somebody had to sit there and be like, this shit is 2. There's just something about it that feels... Yeah, I mean, something about it feel too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see it and it's like, I don't know, it's not. And then they were probably talking to a person. The person was like, what the fuck is 2? And they were like, well, you know how you're you? Like, you're just you. And they were like, yeah? It's like, yeah, it's just you. So that's like 1 or something. And then this is like, I'm not you. I'm not you at all. I'm like me. So I'm also like a 1, I guess. But then us talking, that's like, that can't still be 1, right? It's gotta be something else. Like, we should just give it a name. And he's like, but what the fuck made you say 2? Like, is something you're stuck in between your teeth? Like, what made you say 2? He's like, I don't know, it just feel like 2. It feels double of what, and they were like, nigga, what the fuck is double? Like, I think about that with things get invented now, they get made now so quickly that it's skipping us. I don't, not only do I not know how my phone works, because of my phone, I don't need to know how things work. I no things anymore. Because I don't need to know anything. I was about to learn directions. I was so close. I really was. Like, I was, I didn't have my first phone yet, and I was about to learn because I was like, I keep getting lost. I never make it home on time, and I don't have a car, so I'm just always on foot, which thank God, because if you drive in the wrong direction, you're never going to make it home. So I was like, I'm gonna learn directions. Like, sooner or later, you need to know what west is. I had no idea what west was. Some people would say, go west. I was like, left or right? Don't hit me with all of this 4 stuff. You know what I mean? And then I got a phone, and on the phone was a compass. So now, I got Google Maps and a compass. I'll never be lost again. I'm good. You know, but it got me wondering, like, who made the compass? Like, we don't make it famous. Who made the compass? But like, I'm sure there's an answer somewhere, but we don't talk about who made the compass, because that was also probably like a 2-type conversation. Somebody made a compass, and they were like, yeah, this will get you home. And they were like, what do you, it's just pointing, it's moving. It's just pointing random. How is that? That's confusing as hell. Is home this way or this way? Keep moving. Why is it moving if it's gonna help me get home? Is it magic? Are you a witch? Are you a witch? Because that's the other thing too. Up until a certain point, you really couldn't be smart without being accused of being a witch. We killed all the smart people. We wonder why people in the medieval times didn't have it better. It's because they murdered anyone with a good idea. If somebody was like, maybe we should wash our hands, it's like, that's a witch. That's a... Oh, get him quick. Get him, all right? And definitely, if you were a smart woman, you were gone. It was just fact. And so they gave him a compass, and he's like, what is it supposed to do? And it's like, it'll get you home. It knows where north is. How does it know? Well, it doesn't know. It uses magnetism. What the fuck is magnetism? It's like, just trust me. It'll point north. You'll be able to get home that way. Please trust me. You'll get home if you just follow it. Because that's the other problem, is that if you invent something, if you're a visionary, you have to make things for people who not only weren't able to make the thing, they might not understand the thing. When Ford was selling cars, right? He used to sell cars like door-to-door style, which had to be a motherfucker, because then it's like you drove out here to sell the car, right? Even if you make the sale, now you like, bro, can I get a ride? But that's what would happen. Ford would make the sale, right? And the way that he would make the sale is he would teach people to drive. And when they saw how quickly they were getting places, how easy driving was, they bought the car, you know? Especially if he was going to like a wealthy or even like mid-level class farmer's house or something, because they needed cars the most. You used to have to just, I don't know. Anyway. That much walking is just beyond me. Anyway. So he would sell the car, and he noted, it's like in his autobiography, not his autobiography, his biography and stuff, about how people were so unequipped for this new idea so deeply that when they were driving the car, instead of hitting the brake, because they didn't understand what brakes were yet, instead of hitting the brake, they would yell, whoa, in the car, because they were only used to being on horses, right? Which must have been crazy, because imagine you in a like 1920s car, so already not a safe vehicle by the seatbelts hadn't been invented yet, and the motherfucker is speeding, going, whoa! Whoa! You're like, actually, you need to step over there. You need to step. No, I think about it a lot. How do you truly appreciate like a visionary? Usually we just let them cook. We don't kill them anymore. We don't, unless they're trying to promote peace, and then they gotta go. Those. Yeah. Don't be too good of a person. We'll get you. You know what I mean? But that's it. How do I put this? This is completely unrelated now. I'm moving on. So I don't want you to be confused with like, does this still mean something to the other thing? I don't know what I'm gonna do about it, but I think that my face is too friendly. It's really upsetting. Like, you don't understand. Like, I don't even mean to be this way, but I'm like, it's my attitude and it's my face. I just think it's too much. It's like I don't know. everyone that sees me on the street is like, you want to talk? And it's like, and it's very jarring. It's like, some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you have, some of y'all look, I can see good smiles in here. Some of y'all have that smile that makes people go, I can be a part of your day. And it's the last dude that just saw me, and I just walk around with a sort of half smile because when I read about it when I was like in my early 20s, I was like reading this book and it talked about how you should walk around with a half smile so anytime someone needs a smile, you're halfway there, right? And so then I was like, yeah! And so I adopted it as a person, and so I'm walking around with this half smile. But if you half smile at crazy motherfuckers in New York, that is an invitation. It's not, but it is. They take it as one, even though they should. And so I was just walking, half smile, enjoying my day, enjoying life. And then a dude with just his feet were in buckets. All right? My man's shoes were buckets, okay? I don't even know if he had real shoes on in the but the bucket seemed taut. Like it seemed like it was sticking to the foot. And he just walked up and he was like, "What's up, young brother?" It's like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? How you doing? Because this is also like a black thing that a lot of people don't know about. When you're walking down the street and you see another black guy, the number of brothers he calls you is the situation that you're in. If he goes, hey, brother, that's just another black guy. If he's like, hey, brother, he needs something. If he goes, hey, brother, that is drugs. That's drugs every time. No one needs you to call you brother that much unless they're your actual brother, okay? So I'm walking over and this man is like, hey, brother. I'm like, I am in danger, okay? This is a lot, and I don't know if y'all like. I'm being real for a second. I don't know if y'all have ever felt this, but have you ever had somebody try to rob you before? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Did you feel it before they did anything? Were you like, oh, okay, he on some bullshit? Like this, you know what I mean? Okay. So this man walks up. He's called me brother 17 times in 6 bucket steps. So he is on one. My man is cooking. He is on one, right? And so he was and then he walks up, and I can already see from the stance that he got the buckets ready to run in case he needed to run, like because he not standing just flat bucket. He got that tip. For those of you on the back that can't see, he got his foot like this. So when he need to go, he can go, right? So my man is like this with the bucket. The bucket's like sideways. You know what I mean? And so he's like, do you have the time? And I just looked at him and I was like, yeah, 4:22. And he looked so disappointed. He's like, who just knows the time, right? And I didn't know the time. I made it up. But it seemed like time wasn't really an issue for me. And so then he was like, wow, that was fast. You got a watch? And I was like, no, I just know that it's 4:22. And it's like, oh, did you just look at your phone or something? You got a phone? It's like, why would you ask me if I have a phone, right? So that's when I knew he was going to try to rob me, right? And so then he's like, you got a phone or something? I was like, yeah, I have a phone. I looked at it 2 minutes ago when it was 4:20. So that's how I know it's 4:22 now. And he made this move. And this is the thing. It takes a crazy person or a brave person to try to rob bare-hand, right? You bare-handed and you bucket-footed. That's not a recipe for success. And so my man he's like this, and he's like, you got a phone or something? I was like, yeah, I have a phone, and looked at it 4:20, you know, everything. And then he's like, give me the phone. And then when he reached and tried to say, give me the phone, he reached for my pockets, right? So he tried to reach for the pocket. I took a step back, and this is when you need shoes. My man started slipping on the bucket. So he's just doing this. He's just like slipping on buckets so hard. And I'm just backing away, but he's skating towards me on buckets. He like getting closer and closer on buckets. And so then I'm backing up and everything, and he's like, give me the phone. I was like, I'm not gonna give you my phone. And then he got finally. I had backed up into a wall. So now it's like fighting time. You know what I mean? And so now I'm in the wall. He keeps sliding up to me. He's like, give me the phone. I said, give me the phone. And so I just pushed him. And the way he fell back, because basically it was okay. You know when Bambi's mom died? Like, you know how sad you felt? This man was trying to rob me, but it took him so long to slip on these buckets that I almost helped him. Like, it was like, because he was like, oh, 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 oh. He was on his own footed roller coaster. And I almost reached my hand, and I was like, no, wait, this nigga tried to rob me. He deserves nothing. And then he fell back, and then I ran, which is crazy. How was he gonna catch up to me if it wasn't downhill? You know what I mean? You all were so great. Thank you so much. I'm trying to